Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers and then we'll open our Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and do a couple of mantras. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Asto Ma Sadgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityorma Amritam Gamya Om Sehna Vavatu Sehna Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavahi तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे ओम शांति 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 Okay, now let's open our books. We are on the second section of second chapter. And last week we did first two mantras. And we learned that in this section, Rishi is describing the meditation on pran through the analogy of a Shishu, a baby. The last two mantras, they give another meditation on pran. In these two mantras, the 7 orifices in one's own head, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, and a mouth, tongue, are to be contemplated as the abode of 7 sages, Saptarishis. And the Saptarishis are Rishi Gautam, Rishi Bhardwaj, Rishi Vishwamitra, Rishi Jamdagni, Rishi Vashishta, Kashyapa, Atri. And then the organ of speech, which we all have, we can communicate with this organ of speech. And this is the 8th stage, he says. So the entire manifested creation is to be meditated as located in the head. So the 7 sages and the Vedas are not only outside, but they are inside the meditator also. That's what the implication of these mantras is. They can be invoked at any time through contemplation on our head as the seat of all power of knowledge. In fact, the similar meditations are given in other Upanishads also. For example, Chandogya Upanishad instructs the meditation on our heart. Over there, the Rishi says, all that is contained in the universe, with its vast Akash, the sun and the moon, all the stars and the planets, and the innumerable solar systems, they are inside us too. So the scriptures put this great truth in the most simple manner when they say meditate inside you. When they say that microcosm contains verily the macrocosm. Okay? So this is what we are learning in these great mantras. Let's look at verse number 3 of this section. Tat eshaha shlokaha bhavati arvag vilaha udharav buddhav chamsaha tasmin vishvarupam yasha nihitam tasya tire saptarishyaha aste brahmana samvidanaha vak ashtamo arvag vilaha udharv buddha chamsaha iti idam tat shiraha esha hi Arvagibla Chamsaha tasmin vishvarupam yasha nihitamiti pranan etat aha pranaha ve vishvarupam yasha tasya tire sapt rishya aste pranaha ve rishya brahmana samvidana vak ashtami iti vak ashtami brahmana hi samvite. There is a verse like this in the Atharva Veda also. So that's why he says, Tad eva shaloko bhavati. So the same shalok is in the Atharva Veda. So on the subject, there is this mantra. There is a bowl with its opening below and bulging above. In it, manifold knowledge has been placed. 7 sages sit by its side. And the organ of speech, which utters words, is the earth. The bowl with its opening below and bulging above is this head of ours. For it is a bowl with its opening below and bulging above. In it, manifold knowledge has been placed. Refers to the organs which verily represent manifold knowledge. 7 sages sit by its side. Refers to the organs which are verily the sages. The organ of speech which utters words is the earth. Because the organ of speech, the earth one, utters words. So this is a literal translation of that Sanskrit verse. So this Upanishad is reproducing this mantra from the Atharva Veda. And we saw that the head is compared to a drinking bowl. And the 7 seers, sages sitting on its sides in the form of 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and the tongue, with the earth in the form of speech. The mantra itself explains its meaning and also its import. The bowl with its mouth below and its bottom above, we can see that it corresponds to our head, because our head is if you look at it, it's shape of the bowl, has a hole below, which is our mouth, and its bottom above refers to the skull, which is above. And all forms of knowledge is placed in it. Just like we put some kind of a juice or some kind of a liquid in a bowl. So the all sense organs, which are the sources of all forms of knowledge, are located in this head. The vital force manifesting itself as the sense organs with its 7 apertures is the cause of all forms of knowledge. That's why they are called the inlets. When we see something through the eyes, that information goes in. When we hear something from the ears, so knowledge goes in. When we smell something, taste something. So the vital force manifesting itself as the sense organs with its 7 apertures is the cause of all forms of knowledge. Because we all know that through them alone, perception takes place. That's why these are called perception organs also. Gyanendriya. So the mantra is referring to the sense organs, which are the instruments of the acts of touching, perceiving, hearing, tasting, smelling, as all knowledge. The 7 seers are to be identified with the prans. Because without the pran shakti, these apertures cannot function. Prans are the vibratory nature. Speech is the 8th. Because 7 are there, but through this tongue, we speak also. There are vocal cords. Without them, we cannot speak. So speech is the 8th, which is associated with the Veda. Speech. The tongue being the organ of taste and also speech counts as 2. As the organ of taste, it is combined with the 7 sages. And as the organ of speech, it is the 8th. So vital force is the source of all sounds. And the speech is associated with it. So this verse is very easy for us to understand actually, because we have experienced it. We all have these apertures. We all understand that the knowledge which goes through these apertures is the knowledge which we say it's our knowledge. We understood. So let's look at the next verse where he mentions all these rishis' names also. Imau eshaha Gautam Bhardwaja, ayam ev Gautama, ayam Bhardwajaha, imau ev Vishwamitra Jamadagni, अथम एव विश्वामित्रः अयम जमदग्निः इमौ एव वशिष्ठ कश्यपः अयम एव वशिष्ठः अयम कश्यपः वाक् एष अत्रिः वाचः हि अन्नम उद्यतेः यत् अत्रिः इति एतत् अतिः हवे नाम व एवं वेद सर्वस्य अतः भवति सर्वम् अस्य अन्नम भवति. These 2 ears are indeed Gautam and Bhardwaj. This is Gautam and this is Bhardwaj. These 2 eyes are indeed Vishwamitra and Jamadagni. This one is Vishwamitra and this one Jamadagni. These 2 nostrils are indeed Vashisht and Kashyap. This one is Vashisht and this one Kashyap. The tongue is indeed Atri, for through it food is eaten. Atri is only the familiar name. Atihi. He who knows thus becomes the eater of all food and everything becomes his food. So now the names of the sages who sit by the side of the bowl in the form of this head are mentioned. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with these names of the rishis. When we study the other scriptures, these names come. In fact, they just roam in all the historical pages. So they are mentioned pointing out to each of the organs one by one. So that's how this guru is explaining to the disciple. This right ear is Gautam. So he points it out. This one is Gautam. And this left ear is Bhardwaj. Right eye is Vishwamitra. This left eye is Jamadagni. This right nostril is Vashisht. And you're all familiar with Vashisht. We are going through that Yoga Vashisht every Monday's conversation between Lord Ram as a student and Rishi Vashisht as the Guru. And this left nostril is Kashyap. This tongue is Atri. Here it is said that the derivation of the name Atri is from the word Ati. Ati means eats. And food we eat. The head, which is a storehouse of manifold knowledge through perception, hearing, smelling, and tasting, has got 7 apertures by which it acquires the knowledge of objects. We are familiar with when we hear something sweet, when we smell something good or even bad, when we taste something which is bitter or sweet. So knowledge of the objects come through these sense organs. So the organs are to be identified with the 7 great sages through meditation. So we are in the company of these great sages. These sages are eternal. When we connect our mind with them, we receive the knowledge through that connection. So that's why these mantras, they can become very personal mantra for our practice. This is one way to have a better control over our senses. If we understand that the rishis are sitting there, in my eyes also, in my ears also, in my tongue also, in my nose also, in my vocal cords also, don't you think that we will use these sense organs sattvically? Just like when we understand that in my body, there's a Ganeshji in the Mooladhara chakra, Brahmaji in the Swadhisthana chakra. There's a Vishnu Bhagwan sitting right there where the navel is, Manipur chakra, right behind it. There's a Shivji in the Anahat chakra. My Isht Devta is sitting there too, right inside me, and a Guru also. Okay? So all those godly images are there. Now, through these mantras, we understand the rishis are there too. We are never alone. So meditate on it. So last time we were talking about that, this whole Upanishad is about meditations. But especially in these couple of mantras or in this section, we can see that beautiful way to meditate or deepen our meditation with the help of these images. Then in the next section, in fact, the very first mantra of the next section, this Upanishad is known by that mantra. That is a section 3. It's called Murat Amurat Brahman. Murat is a form. Amurat is formless. People often argue about it. Does God have a form or is God formless? So this Rishi very clearly puts that argument at rest. So there are only, again, very short, fewer number of verses in this also, just 6 verses. Again, this is a meditation, it can deepen our meditation. We all know that universe is constituted of the 5 elements. I'm sure you have memorized that. Earth, water, air, fire, and ether. And is divided into two broad divisions. The Murt, that means with form, and Amurt, without form. So the Brahm, the ultimate reality, has two aspects. One is gross, perishable, limited, and perceivable, consisting of the first three elements, earth, water, and fire. Those we can see. Sure, there are all other ramification and modification in the form of the umpteen objects are formed by the help of the permutation and combination of these elements. But the other aspect is subtle, imperishable, unlimited, unperceivable, consisting of the remaining two elements, air and ether. These two elements are comparatively subtler than the other three. They are said to be imperishable, unlimited, unperceivable compared to the other three elements. So the physical sun is to be meditated as the essence of the three gross elements. When we look at the sun, three grosser elements, as everything physical is reducible to the constituent of the solar orb. But the divinity within the sun is the essence of the other two elements. He is the eye of the universe, the Virat Purush. So meditation on the Adi Bhautik and Adi Devik aspects, the macrocosmic counterpart of the reality he is teaching us in this particular section. Let's just look at the first verse, a very small verse. Dve vav brahmana rupe murtam cha ev amurtam cha amritam cha sthitim cha yat cha sat cha tvach. Brahm has only two forms, gross and subtle. So Murat and Amurat. Mortal and immortal, limited and unlimited, perceptible and imperceptible. This is the literal translation of this first verse. So sure, first he is explaining the nature of the five elements. After explaining and analyzing their nature, the conclusion is stated here. In our Vedas, the conclusion is expressed as neti neti. Not this, not this. It's almost like a breathtaking expression. But we cannot explain Brahma. No matter how eloquently we can speak, we cannot. No matter how fast we run or fly or go somewhere, we cannot catch it. We cannot know the end of it. So in other words, this when we say neti neti, that means we are denying in the absolute all possibility of a definition in terms of a human language. By this process of complete negation, the Vedas intend to eliminate the limiting This like a murat when we say, or a murat, and they are revealing the real nature of Brahm. Te vav, dve vav brahmano rupe. Murtam cha eva amurtam cha. Just like an object presents two different colors when viewed through two transparent glasses of different colors. So the supreme reality seems to possess two different and contradictory attributes on account of the limiting adjuncts superimposed upon it through ignorance. So it's a grossness, perishability, finitude, perceptibility. On the other hand, subtlety, imperishability, infinity, imperceptibility. So it depends how we are looking at it. Are we using the first three elements or the last two elements? So all these characteristics imply the prediction of four sets of two contradictory attributes to the one reality. Reality is one, but we just look at it through different glasses. To an ordinary person, these pairs of contradictory characteristics, they are actually superimposed on one reality. But if we are not subtle in our thinking, we get confused, we become perplexed. That's why we often start arguing. God has only this form. The other form cannot be the God. Or God can only be formless. How can God take form? We start arguing because we don't understand the totality of it. So that's why these rishis, they just gave us these mantras to stop all the arguments. This is God can be both. Both are true of Brahm as they are or are not superimposed due to the limiting adjuncts. Each group is true. Whether a person says God has a form is true. The other person says God doesn't have a form is also true. It all depends what is a person's experience, what is the anubhuti, what is the anubhava. One and the same thing is having a contradictory nature at the same time. But we argue. We say if Brahm is formless, then all scriptural texts which treat of a Brahm with form, they are meaningless. But there are textbooks written by these saints with those anubhutis that God has a form. And on the other hand, God can be formless also. The scriptural texts which treat of Brahm with form have a purpose. See, just like a light of the sun has no form. We all know that. But it appears to be big or small according to the size of a hole through which it passes into a room. And it possessed of the quality and the power of dispelling the darkness of the room. The same way, Brahm, which is formless, but it appears to be subjected to empirical conditions. Gross and subtle, perishable and imperishable, limited and unlimited, perceptible and imperceptible, due to the limiting adjuncts. So just as the formless light of the sun assumes the corresponding form of the object which it contacts, the same way Brahm appears as possessed of the qualities of those limiting adjuncts which are superimposed and with which it identifies itself. So this does not contradict the view of Brahma. There are two terms, Tatastha Lakshan and a Savrup Lakshan. These are Sanskrit terms. So in the Tatastha Lakshan, it's like we describe in a cosmic standpoint. And in a Savrup Lakshan, we give the description in the existence, consciousness, bliss manner. So that's how these rishis try to explain that there's no need to argue. It all depends how you are looking at it. That both are correct. So Brahm has indeed two forms in relation to the body and organs, which are the products of 5 elements. And what are those two forms? They can be gross and subtle forms, perishable, imperishable forms, finite and infinite forms, perceptible and imperceptible. So the two forms have each 4 characteristics. So this is a very famous verse, actually. I want you to meditate upon it. Instead of arguing about it, if we meditate on these verses, then we'll have our own experience. We'll have an anubhava. Then there's no need to even argue about it. So indeed, Brahm has 2 forms. Dve means 2. Brahmano rupe. Murtam cha eva amurtam cha, vrityam cha amritam cha, sthitam cha yatcha satya cha tyach. So let's stop it here. We can have some discussion, and we'll start with the verse number 2 of this section next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.